All right, guys, a subject that we've been talking a lot about on this channel, student loans. And you know how many of you guys are out there facing the return of your federal student loan payments. And I get it, you might be tempted to refinance those loans in hopes of saving some money every month. But before you go down that road of refinancing your student loans, let me tell you, for most of you, it's actually a terrible idea. And here's the deal. With the Federal Reserve raising interest rates to a multi-decade high and new government programs that are offering low payments and possible debt forgiveness, refinancing will only benefit a very small number of borrowers. Seriously, it doesn't make any sense to refinance because your costs will actually go up, especially for those with undergraduate loans, which actually make up the majority of student borrowers. As of October 1st, millions of borrowers have had to start making loan payments again. And since the Education Department put a pause on payments back in March of 2020, in the very beginning of the pandemic, unlike many mortgage holders who took advantage of low rates earlier in the pandemic to refinance, very few student loan borrowers did the same. SoFi, which is a refinancing lender, said that its volumes actually dropped a whopping 90% when interest rates hit zero. And now that the pause is ending, the opportunity to refinance at low rates is pretty much gone. But wait, there is more to this story. The federal student loans can't even be refinanced through the government, which means if you're considering leaving your government loans behind and refinancing with a private lender, be prepared for some risks, as you're likely going to end up losing access to any government protections that you once had. Such protections include forbearance and deferment options that could be available to you, income-driven repayment plans, and student loan forgiveness programs that might come down the road as well. By doing this, your debt will no longer be eligible for forgiveness through income-based repayment programs like the Savings on Valuable Education program that was introduced and that was rolled out recently by the Biden administration as well. And on top of that, you'll have to combine all of your loans and turn them into a single consolidated private loan, completely removing your debt from the federal system. Yeah, it's a big decision to do that. Oh, and here's another thing you need to know. If there are any mass debt forgiveness plans in the future, which the Supreme Court has already struck down one of, those of you who refinanced with a private lender will not be eligible. Any efforts by the Education Department to cancel large amounts of debt for most borrowers will likely be challenged in court. So no guarantee there. I certainly don't want you to try and plan for that or prepare for it. I think it's best to pay your debts back as agreed and accelerate the repayments like we teach about on other videos. So make sure you subscribe. And one last thing to point out on this is for federal borrowers. The main reason that you refinance is to score a lower interest rate. Yet in this high rate environment, it's unlikely that you're going to get a lower rate than the fixed rate that you've had on your federal loans all this time. Over the past year and a half, the cost of credit has gone up a lot. At the start of the pandemic, the Fed cut interest rates to near zero to boost the economy, but now they've raised rates to a 22-year high to combat inflation. And for federal student loans, the interest rate is set annually. This year, the rate for the most common undergraduate loans is 5.5%, up from 2.75% in 2020. Graduate and professional student loans, as well as loans taken out by parents, have even higher rates as well. So unless you have excellent credit and you can find a bank offering super low introductory rates, it's hard to see how refinancing is worth it if you're still looking at rates anywhere above around 7%. But there is a silver lining for graduate borrowers and parents of students. So if that happens to be you, listen up. Refinancing might actually make sense for you. See, the federal government treats graduate and parent loans differently, and you guys often have different financial situations. Many of these loans don't qualify for the most generous income-based repayment programs that could lead to forgiveness. So if you're in a good position with good credit, refinancing might be worth considering. And hey, some of you might consider refinancing not just because of interest rates, but to extend the term of your loans and lower your monthly payments and, like we teach on this channel, increase your cash flow. However, my argument on this is usually going to be to attack and pay off the debts, but if you are stretched a little thinner and you want a little extra each month, and if you happen to be expecting higher earnings later in your career, with rates being high now, there could be a wave of refinancing in the future that would be available to you if rates come down. Most Fed officials are actually expecting interest rates to stay steady for the next year before starting to go down. So if you took out student loans with high interest rates at some point, especially during the past year, you might have a real opportunity to refinance once rates actually do drop. Just keep an eye out for that because, of course, there are no guarantees, and I certainly don't like to play my cards speculating on interest rates falling. All right, I know that was a lot to take in for a lot of you guys, but I hope that it was giving you a little bit more of a clear picture of why refinancing federal student loans may not be the best move for a lot of borrowers. Make sure you weigh the pros and cons very carefully before just diving into any type of refinancing decisions. And hey, you never know, things might change in the future, so keep an eye out for better opportunities down the road. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be here for you, providing more great content to help you go further, faster financially, as we do here on the channel, my friends. We'll see you on the next video, and of course, keep on cash flowing. See you soon.